So the first step that we have to do is start to make a difference in our planning for the future. There's a little story here. Y'all know Singer, right? So if I say Singer, you think of, and it might surprise you to know that Singer, which is now doesn't exist anymore, but for the last 15 years of its life, it didn't make a sewing machine. What happened was back in the days of the 1970s, the head of Singer looked around and he realized that Tupperware parties were becoming a thing of the past. And he realized he was looking at the women in the workforce, and he was realizing that women in the workforce didn't really want to go home and sew dresses anymore. And he realized that incoming goods from foreign countries, the textile movement, where we had taken a lot of the manufacturing of textiles offshore, meant that you could go buy a very good quality garment at a very, very good price. Oftentimes, you could buy the garment for less than the material would cost to make it yourself. And he says, but here we are, Singer. We're the company known for that treadle sewing machine that we sold through the Sears Roebuck catalog, and we've gone on to make electric machines. And that's what we've done. But the reality is there's a company in Japan named Brother, and they actually make better ones than we do. They're the people who figured out how to do automatic buttonholing, and they figured out how to put the alphabet on your sleeve, all that kind of stuff, to make it automatic. He said, we don't have that. So he called his executives in the room and he says, you know what I've realized? We have no future as a sewing machine company. The market's going to get smaller and the competition's better than us. Now I have a choice. We could go into a gladiator battle here. One of us will get very bloody and the other one will get dead. I don't think that sounds like fun. Gladiator battles are never any fun unless you're sitting up in the stands throwing rocks at them. So he said, the smartest thing I can do is quit. And he did. He called up an investment banker, and he told the investment banker that the entire assets of the company were for sale. And Brother swooped in, said, wow, we have a chance to get the name. You'll let us have the Singer name? Yes. So yes, you could buy Singer sewing machines, only they were made in Japan by Brother. Because he sold the trademark, he sold the name, he sold the manufacturer, he sold everything. So now he has a company called Singer, and it has no assets. And at that point, he said, what do we want to be? And the management team sat around, and their conclusion at that time, as we got into the 80s, they started to migrate towards defense contracting. And they saw a giant explosion in defense contracting coming under the Reagan administration, and they ended up converting Singer into a defense contractor, which was eventually bought by General Dynamics. Had you bought Singer at the time they sold the assets, you would have 15x'd your money by the time it was bought by General Dynamics. When you're doing your planning, I want you to think about the old Cannonball Run movie. Remember that? It had Burt Reynolds in it, about a bunch of people racing cars across the United States in an illegal race. There's a scene at the beginning of it where there's this Italian fellow, and he gets in this little two-seater car, and he's a real Lothario, and he puts his arm around this attractive girl, and he's describing the race, and he says, what's behind me is not important. He grabs the rearview mirror, and he throws it out the back of the car. That's the way I want you to think about planning from now. What's behind you is not important. It doesn't matter what you made last year or the year before. It doesn't matter what patents you filed. It doesn't matter as much as you being in a growth market in 5 years. Apple, they said, when they got into this business, they said to Sony, Sony, why don't you have an MP3 player in the market? Sony said, well, because nobody thinks the quality is good enough. And they said, if that's what's holding you back, we're ready to rock and roll, because that's an excuse, right? In other words, you like selling DVDs at 18 bucks a crack. You don't like the idea of selling a song for 99 cents. You like selling a Walkman. You don't much like the idea of selling an MP3 player. So consequently, you're not very likely to go down that road. You're trying to preserve, defend, and protect that business that you've always been in with the Walkman and those CDs. So we don't think you're going to come after us. And they didn't. Think about how long Apple was in that business before they had any serious competition of any kind whatsoever. That's the part where studying the competition becomes critical. You start to understand what they're not likely to do. Whenever Apple was launching the iPhone, the common theme was people want a netbook, $500 PC. They want a PC for portability. Apple said, no, the PC is the only way you get portability. You don't really want a PC. You would like a different solution, and that's when they came up with the idea of the apps and the smartphones, right? Once everybody in the PC industry said, we're not going to go down this road, we're not going to go after this game, then you know it's open for you. That insight comes from studying the competition. The third thing is disruption. Like I said, Jeff is clearly a disruptive guy. You all can imagine what it must be like to work with him at Kodak. He was constantly disrupting the organization. I don't think you have to necessarily be that type of a personality to understand disruption. And my example is Virgin. If you've ever met Sir Richard Branson, seen him on television, heard him give a speech, he's a very mild-mannered fellow, very calm, nothing like Jeff Hazlett at all. He's not a large individual. He's very quiet, he's very nice, he's very polite. He always takes 6 weeks vacation every year. Talk about the opposite of micromanage. When he goes on vacation, he gets on a balloon. He goes up 20,000 feet in space. Right? Spends a week up there, right? That's vacation. That's a serious vacation. He takes 6 weeks a year. That's Richard Branson, right? But he's a billionaire. And the reason he's a billionaire is because he created a company that does what? What market are they in? What's their core? How are they focused? Just take a look at these different businesses from Virgin Atlantic, Virgin America, Virgin Holidays, Virgin Games, Virgin Radio, Virgin Megastore, Virgin Health Miles, Virgin Health Bank, I believe, is the stem cell company out of England. They have stem cells. There's Virgin Media. Virgin Money is the largest bank in the emerging market, right? He didn't have a bank. He wasn't a pilot when he started Virgin Airlines, Virgin Atlantic. What Richard Branson says is, you can get into any market, no matter what the growth is, and you can profitably grow at double digits if you disrupt it. If you come at it different than the competition and you change it. And we all kind of know that. I mean, we've all watched Southwest just print money for 25 years while United and American just keep losing money, and Continental goes away and all these other Eastern disappears. We watch them go away. We watch the guy who's disruptive overtake the market and make money. And that's what being disruptive means. Now, Jeff is certainly willing to be disruptive. He's willing to try things. He's willing to get out there fast, realize that nobody's going to get killed, and get it done. And that's what we have to start realizing you have to do. Once you've got a vision of the future, once you've started to see those competitive holes, then do something disruptive in them. Go make a change. Do something different. And when you do it, don't play bet the company. You can just set up a small team. I call them white space teams. White space teams because what? They're looking for the white space. In that great big sea out there of competitors, they're looking for the white space where somebody isn't. Get a team that focuses on that and hold their feet to the fire. So, well, come on, get in there and commit and tell me what we can do. And that's what we see profligate at companies like Apple and Google. They take people and they say, you like that idea? Go off, explore it, development. But my favorite one up here is Netflix. Because Netflix was a company that had a pretty simple idea. They looked at the competition in terms of how you bought DVDs, and what did they see? We all went to the Blockbuster store, right? We all went to the retail store. And they said, well, what if I send it to your house? White space. I'll send the DVD to your home. And you can keep it for a month. You don't get another one until you send it back, but you can keep it as long as you want. Nobody ever thought of doing that, right? It's white space. They get this really successful company. Now what's their core? Understanding how to deliver them to the home, right? I think they may be the largest customer for the U.S. mail now. So this is their core, right? Now we go off and we deliver DVDs, and what do they come up with? Streaming downloads. Now, streaming downloads is going to cannibalize that other business, the DVD business. No doubt about it. It will cannibalize that. We have no idea if the profitability of streaming downloads is going to be anywhere near this profitability of the DVD business. We don't know. But we do know that streaming downloads will probably be huge. However big the DVD mail business was, downloads is going to be multiples of that. So what does he do? The CEO creates a team and says, go figure out how you do streaming downloads. There's a whole raft of problems. There's technology problems. There's how do I get content problems. There's how do I get people to understand it through my subscription base. There's the whole cannibalization issue. Gobs of problems, but he puts a dedicated team to it. And they come out with their streaming download business, and we see it become very successful. They're whipping everybody's tail with it. The price of the stock goes up something like 8-fold in the course of a year. Because when you do these things, when you start to understand how to deal with the future, plan for the future. Not try to do what you always did, but really plan for the future. Number two, look for those competitive holes. use fringe ideas to take advantage of them, allow yourself to be disruptive with your solutions, and then set up these white space teams. It works. And the thing I can tell you, I've been doing this now for 14 years. I can also tell you it works every single time.